Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I'm going to show you how to change an alternator on your Jeep Overland, Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland, that is. This is a 4.7 HO V8 engine, and we're going to be changing out the alternator. Okay, so I just bought this vehicle for $2,000, and it appears that the alternator is bad, right? So I threw this battery in, this Optima, just to get it home, and now I'm going to change out the alternator here. Now the guy at the parts store told me there's two different alternators for this, one with a clutch and one without a clutch. This one does not have a clutch, just has the pulley there on the front. So there are two different kinds, he says, for the 4.7 high output, one with a clutch, one without. Ours does not have a clutch, so we're going to change it out. One of the other things he told me is your PCM could be bad, and that's why the alternator is not charging the battery properly. So the PCM is back here, and if that deal is not working properly, then it will not allow the alternator to charge the battery properly. And if that's the situation, then you know, we're gonna have to dig a little deeper than just changing this alternator. But for right now, we're gonna cross our fingers and hope that it's just an alternator issue. And so I've disconnected the battery, which you should do also. Disconnect your battery. You only typically have to disconnect your negative. You don't have to disconnect both, but I did not have these on properly because the terminals were so bad and corroded that I really couldn't turn anything on there when I was trying to change it from the old battery to this new Optima. So I just kind of wiggled them and squeezed them and got them off of the battery. And so that's why I took both of them off instead of just one. But you don't have to take them both off. You can just take the negative off, and then after you get the negative off, come over to your alternator, and we're going to get the power off, and then we're going to use a tensioner thing to get the belt off, and then we're going to get a couple of bolts here, one there, and one there. So maybe 2 bolts, maybe 3 bolts, one there, 1, 2, 3 it looks like all together, and we should have it out. All right guys, so this is my son Mason Wayne. He's gonna be helping us out today. He's got his work gloves on. Let's see the work gloves, bub. All right, those are definitely for working. All right, so our top nut here is going to be 13 millimeter. That's what I'm using. It's probably something else in American, but for now that's what I'm gonna use, is a 13, because that's what I got with me and that's what fits. So on we go. Oh goodness, it doesn't want to turn, so probably gonna have to put a little bit more elbow grease into that. So drop the camera here and just kind of hold it. Ooh, it's still hot for me driving it. There we go. Just kind of hold the wire so it don't spin on you, and then break her loose. She'll come right up off of there. So all right, there's our first little nut coming off. I'm gonna go ahead and set that right there, and then we'll pull our power lead off of the alternator there, and it looks like there's a plug in the back side of it. Can't really get that one right now. Oh, there we go, I got it. So yeah, see that corrosion there? That's probably why the alternator is not working properly. That is not good. So we're gonna have to clean that up. All right, so now we got to get the belt off, right? So just grabbing a 15 millimeter here. And it's probably a different size than American, or it's probably an American size being a Jeep and everything, but everything I own is metric, so forgive me if I don't have it with me. All right, so we put that wrench on there like so, and then we just pry it, you know, towards the driver's side of the vehicle like so, and that should give us enough slack to pull it off. Reach in, pry it on the tensioner. Oh, I really should have used a socket and a breaker bar, but whatever. Just pry it enough. Ooh, it's so hot. Pry it enough to get your belt off. There we go, belt is off. Ooh. And so it's all kind of wing-wanged, but they do give you a belt routing diagram right here. So don't worry about it. If it's all wing-wanged, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. Just kind of move it out of your way, and then want to get those. What size are those? Okay, well, went off and found a 15mm socket to get this front bolt here, and got probably the worst ratchet I could get. It pivots in about a million different ways, so that ought to be fun to try to get this off. But that's what I got in a hurry to try to get this done before the sun goes down, because you can see it's on its way. So we got to get this done. So I got a better ratchet, I think. Okay, so I'm going to put that on there like that, right? Oh, this ratchet sucks. Okay. All right, I got to get one more thing. Go chase down my dog real quick. He got out of the yard. All right, so you got this on here, right? You got your ratchet on here, but you're not strong enough to turn it by yourself. So what you're gonna want is leverage. Get a pipe like this. This is a jack handle. Put it over your ratchet, which gives you a longer arm to turn, which gives you more leverage, which will make it, you know, like you're stronger basically. So take this, turn it, boom. See, now we have the strength to turn that, and we don't have to be a big, strong guy, because we're going to use leverage, and leverage is, you know, our friend. So we use it when we need it, and it helps us out, right, Ado? I mean, Mace, right, Mace? Yep. All right, so we got another one. Okay, so we got another one here. We got to get off, right? And this little thing's in our way. So we're just gonna take that and just move it, and it's gonna, I don't know, kind of move out of our way to where we can get to it. And then we'll take our ratchet, put it in there like so, get it cocked to about there because this AC line is gonna be in our way. And then we take our pipe and put it over the end of our ratchet, and we turn it. So you want to have it kind of choked up on the ratchet like so. That way it doesn't break your ratchet or snap it. And then just turn it. See? And then there we go. The leverage breaks it loose for us. And then we just ratchet our bolt out of there. That little plastic thing wants to keep my socket on it. Okay. Are you posting it? Yeah, I'm gonna post it. Put it on YouTube, man. Why, you wanna be a YouTube star? No, oh, you want like that? Well, why don't you come over here and stand in front of me and look at the camera and tell them your best joke? Can you tell people a good joke, or what do you got? What do you got? Call a Jeep with no wheels? A peach. A Jeep. A peach? I don't get that joke. Do y'all get that joke? All right. So just turn these bolts by hand until you can get them out. Oh, there we go. Out with the old. And we'll see. All right, I'll go grab the new alternator and we'll get that one plugged in, hopefully in the next couple of minutes. Okay, so we got the new alternator here, Ultra. This one shows a picture of a clutch on the front of it, but ours does not have a clutch on it. Got this from O'Reilly's. It's like 150 bucks. Could have got it cheaper somewhere else, but would have had to wait longer. And waiting sometimes isn't worth it. So we'll keep the box and we'll put this one in because they charge us $40 for the core. So you're gonna want that for the core. All right, here's our new one. And it says, please call our ASE certified technicians at this number for assistance with installation and troubleshooting before returning this part to the store. So that's your little warning you get there from the manufacturer. Oh, I'm just gonna clean it out with this little wire brush that I got here. Try to get all that corrosion out of there, because that may be what's causing the whole issue to begin with. It may not even be a bad alternator. It might just be a corroded connection or a wire or something not getting the right connection. What do you think, Mace? What could it be? Think it's the alternator or the corroded connections?
Corroded connections.
Well, I've done spent $200 on an alternator, so hopefully we can get it fixed. Okay, so set you guys back up over there. Grab our, ooh, this alternator is making us, did you drop something in there? Did you drop a Tic Tac in there?
No.
Boy, did you drop a Tic Tac in there?
No, just making it move. Because this was over there and then it was here.
What the hell just fell out? Boy, you so lucky I didn't find that. If that was a fucking Tic Tac.
Well, there's nothing that has any kind, so it wasn't a Tic Tac. Because that was there the whole time that we were out.
Boy.
And then I put it here.
Alright, so once your alternator is free of little kids putting Tic Tacs in them,
I didn't.
then you should be able to plug it in. Alright, fellas, well, it's the next day, and guess what? I didn't check the weather yesterday. That's right, it's raining in Florida. Who would have guessed? So, anyways, I only get 2 days off a week, so I got to get this thing done. And like an idiot, I didn't park it up here in my carport because, that's right, I didn't check the weather. I never check the weather. But anyway, I got our 10x10 tent here that we take to all the kids' games. So I'm just going to pop that up over the hood over there and get started. Can't be letting that thing sit out in the rain. Good God. All right, boys, got the tent all set up, and wouldn't you know, the rain pretty much stopped. Yep. But it could be back, so this might be a good thing. Don't have very much light under here, and I just hit my daggum head, but you know, we can get the job done. Got the old alternator out yesterday, as you guys already seen. And of course it rained today, so we still got our 3 bolts and our 1 nut. We'll grab our alternator and put it in, and we cleaned up our fitting. We cleaned up our connection yesterday, so hopefully that gets a better connection today. Also, we need to change out these battery terminals. Those things are dog crap. See how they're all the way tight, but they won't tighten anymore, and it's all corroded and nasty. Yeah, that right there will cause your alternator to go bad just from having a bad connection. So all right, well, I'll go grab the other alternator and get the party started. All right, well, here is our new and shiny alternator. Well, this is remanufactured, actually. This one is remanufactured. Also, I already mentioned it in the video, but it says here, externally regulated. So that means that this alternator does not regulate the voltage itself. It's regulated by the vehicle's computer. So you could still possibly have a PCM issue that's causing the alternator to not charge properly or to charge the system properly. So keep that in mind when you're changing your alternator. All right, but anyway, here's our new one. Grab it up out of the box, set it down here, and take a look at it. Always put your receipt in the box, so that way when it comes time to get your core charge money, you'll have it. Also bring them the box back. They like that kind of stuff. All right, so once again, we have another warning on here, right? What does it say? Stop. Before returning this part, call for troubleshooting and installation assistance. Okay? That's what it says right there. The reason it says that is because so many people think that their alternator has gone bad. They change out their alternator, and then it's still, they have issues. So they blame the part store for selling them a bad alternator. Well, many times it's not the alternator, it's the PCM. So keep that in mind. This one sounds good. And it has all the proper connections that we need here on the back. We need that connection and that connection. And we need our bracket to be like that. So this is the one that we need. A lot of times these things will be really hard to get in. So what you want to do is just kind of take a grinder, if you have to, and just kind of touch a little bit on this side. You don't want to touch that side too much, because that's the side that it threads into. See the threading there? But if you just touch this side just a little bit with a grinder, it'll knock off 1/1000th of an inch, and then you'll be able to get the part in a lot easier. All right, so new alternator. Good. Move our wires out of our way. Inspect everything is clear and ready to go. Set that booger in there. That wire was kind of in the way, and then you can see it's just, like I said, it's tight. It doesn't want to go down in there, so if you have to, you can shave a little bit out of there, but you don't want to beat this thing with a hammer. If you start whacking it with a hammer, you're probably going to break these fins right here and damage it, so you don't want to do that. Try to mush it in there the best way you can, but don't hammer it. All right, guys, so we got the little grinder wheel and we got the alternator. We just basically put that ear facing down, grab this doohickey here, all right, that should do it right there. Just a little trim off of that thing is all you need. Okie dokie dokes. All right, fellas. So now watch how easy it is to put this booger in. Oh, she just falls in place now. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so I'll get this guy started. I need 2 hands for that. This guy started, and just basically bolt it all back together. Don't forget to put this in. We got 1 bolt here. Gotta move that around until it fits in there and threads in properly. You don't want to cross thread this stuff, so wiggle the alternator around as you're screwing the nut in. Wiggle the alternator around as you're screwing the nut in, so that way you can feel it thread in, so you're not cross threading it. If you're threading it and it gets tight, prematurely, not at the end of the threading it in where it's actually tight from going all the way in. But if it gets tight at the beginning, that means you cross threaded it. So unscrew it and then adjust your alternator, move it around, and then try to re-thread that bolt back in. See there, like that, and it kind of falls into place. And then when you're screwing it in, you know, you should be able to screw it nice and easy by fingertip, like I'm doing now. Okay, so if you can do that, that means you're not cross-threading it. And if it goes in nice and easy, then you can put your other bolts in, and you want to put all the bolts in first. So you kind of just move it and wiggle it around and then screw it in. You want to get all those threaded by hand first before you start tightening anything with your ratchet. This one I may need 2 hands for because I'm probably going to have to lift that alternator up. So I'm just going to kind of lift the alternator, thread the bolt, wiggling the alternator as I'm putting the bolt in and trying to thread it by hand. Okay, so there it is. And then we're just going to thread that by hand until we can't anymore, right? And we know if we thread it by hand and it goes in easily that we're not cross-threading it. So we're good on all 3 bolts. Now we just need our little plug-in in the back to get plugged in, which is right there. Maybe I should have plugged that in before I put this thing back. That is a booger to figure out. I think it's right here, but can't. There we go. Okay. Just keep tossing it and turning it around until you can get it to fit in correctly, and then push it in until you hear it click. Well, I didn't hear it click, but it's all the way in. All right. Unscrew your little nut they got on here for you and pull up the lock nut washer. This is your lock nut washer. See how it has a cut in it like that? So when you tighten everything down, those 2 pieces of metal will become level with each other, and when they do, it's pretty much impossible for them to lift off. So that's the brilliance of a locking washer. So then what you want to do is take your power wire and put that. So what you want to do is take your power wire, put that on there, put it all the way down, get that little groove thing. See how it's got that little groove right there? That's got to go down in there into its special spot, which you can see right here. It has one spot here and one spot here, depending on where the wire wants to be positioned. And then it goes all the way down, goes into that little groove, like so. And then you want to take your lock washer, put that on there. Boom, brilliant, right? And then let's see if this fits on there. I'd like to use this factory nut opposed to this one. And I may just put this one on top just to save it and have it in a good spot. All right, so that's how to put the alternator back in, and we'll go ahead and grab our ratchet and tighten everything back up. Okay, so this one was a 13 millimil in the back here. And I definitely should get a ratchet for this, but whatever. It's just one. So I already have the wrench out. I'll just do it with the wrench. If you have a ratchet, that's even better. If you have something that's electrified, that's even way better. But basically, just get it down and tighten her up any which way you can. Except for with vice grips or pliers. That's probably the worst way to have to do it. But if you're doing it that way, you're a freaking badass. Alright, so move that like that. The wire goes back over that, or maybe back behind it like so. And then we've got our guy on top. Is that a 13? Oh, that's a 13 also. Okay. So we go ahead and tighten that guy down. There we go. And then we'll put our cap back on. You can hear it lock in, so you know we're good. All right, the other couple of bolts are 15 millimeter. So here's our 15s, and maybe we should do that by finger until it actually will ratchet. So you know you're not cross-threaded when you can thread it by hand that deep. Okay, so that's about it for that. I know it's super dark in there and you guys can't see it, but that's the nature of the beast in Florida. This ratchet's the freaking worst. I need to buy some new ratchets. Alright. 15 wrench, you say? Alright, let's ratchet this one. There it is. So now I'm going to run back to the parts store and get take the alternator back, get the battery I dropped off to charge, and get some new terminals that I can change these out for. Chrysler does not really make it easy for you to change these out, because you see there's really no slack at all in these lines. So I'm going to cut this here and put new terminals on, but you know, you don't want to shorten it all the way back to here, so you're gonna have to be careful. I might even cut this open. No, I can't cut it open. It's actually part of it. It's probably stamped, so the wire that goes in there, I don't know. Just gonna cut it off here at the ends, I guess. Got to get better terminals on there, because if I continue to use that dog crap, I'm going to continue to have charging problems. So, gonna have to cut those off. Alright, so basically, just get your good pair of side cutters here, and just come in as close as you can and cut this away. Okay, there it is. Look how old and corroded that cable is. See the corrosion that's inside there? That is not good for your charging system. Okay, cut the second one off over here. Same way, as close to the terminal as you can cut it. You need as much wire as you can get, but you don't want these two turds being a part of your system, okay? We get a razor blade and we'll splice this open, and we'll be good. Alright guys, just went and got a regular old rusty razor blade, and we're just going to make a line for like as far back as we want it to come, which is pretty much all the way back to this tape. Unfortunately, I don't like to have to choke up on it that much, but those other terminals are really trash, so they're gonna have to go. They had to go. Alright, so now just kind of hold this. And just kind of cut the wire away. Being super careful not to cut your fingers. Alright, you guys, so you see this corrosion inside this wire? See this blue stuff here? Okay, that is corrosion. Now that is all the way in this wire. So it is eating that copper wire, and eventually will make it to where this thing does not get the proper connection it needs from the positive or the negative. So that is a no good. Baking soda and water. Pour some baking soda and water on there and try to kill that, and hopefully it'll slow the process, you know, and hopefully that corrosion isn't too far down in these wires, because it will, just like mold, just continue to creep its way down through your wiring until you have to replace the entire cable, which is no fun. So keep that in mind. This is a big part of an issue of an electrical system. Alrighty, right. Don't want to get rid of any of these copper wires, because with that corrosion, it's already taken some of that away. So you don't want to cut any more away, you know. Just want to cut the casing around the wires, but you don't want to get rid of any wires, not even one really. They all make a difference. They all contribute. Especially when there's already some corrosion eating away at it, you know? Okay, so that's what it looks like now after I've cut it away. Might have to go a little bit more on this one just to get more wire exposed, and then I got these two here that I gotta cut. Alright guys, so that's what it looks like after you get it cut and split away. This one back here had no corrosion at all. This one had corrosion. So alright guys, here's the old alternator out of the Jeep. Doesn't sound bad or anything. Take a look at the wires. They don't look bad either. I don't know, they doesn't smell burnt or anything. I don't know, it might be a good alternator actually. Maybe I'll have them throw it on the bench tester when we get there just to find out, you know. That ought to be a good way to tell if it's the alternator or the computer also, right? Take the old alternator back to the part store, have them throw it on the bench tester and test it, and if it says this thing's good, then maybe that means we have a bad PCM. Definitely make the guy test it 3 or 4 times though. Don't just take the first or 2 readings, you know. So I've been down that road before too, where it didn't fail until the 4th test. So, you know, you want to have the guy test it 4 times in a row, and if it passes all 4 times, then you know it's your PCM. And if it doesn't pass, then you could probably feel a lot more secure knowing that it is your alternator. So there's the factory part number off of it, and I'm gonna head to the part store now. Okay guys, when you're at the part store and you're trying to pick out a battery terminal, right? And you're looking at all of these, right? And you got the painted ones, which they don't corrode because they're painted and they're color coordinated, so that's nifty, right? And you got the gold ones, right? Then you got the bare lead ones, and then you got the lead ones with some kind of like chrome coating on them, right? Kind of shiny a little bit. See how they're kind of shiny? So you got those, right? And they come in all shapes and sizes, right? So you're like, well, which one do I get? Well, the one that you should get are these soft lead ones here, right? Because soft lead is going to form to the battery terminal the best. So when you're trying to put it on here, you know, this soft lead, if you put the painted ones, right? These are good. They're soft lead, but the problem is when it's time to jump start them, you can only jump start them from the metal right here. You can't jump start them anywhere here because it's painted. Problem with the gold ones is they never stay tight, right? Because they're not soft lead. So no matter how tight you tighten them, they're going to continue to work themselves loose as you're driving, and the car's flexing, the body chassis moving from potholes, railroad tracks, and things like that. Same thing with these shiny ones here. You got that shiny coating on there, and what that shiny coating is going to want to do is it's going to work itself back and forth, right? Then you got these lead ones, right? Well, the lead ones are perfect because they're soft lead, just like the terminal here. So when you put it on there and you tighten it, soft and soft stay together, and it won't come loose. It'll stay tight. That's the way to do it. You know, that's the terminal that you want. That's the one that I would pick out of all of these. I'm gonna pick the soft lead one here. So these are the same. I'm gonna grab 2 of them, and they are $4.99 at O'Reilly's. All right, guys, so went to the parts store to get these battery terminals here, and I figured why not just replace the belt. We're already here, we're already doing stuff to it, so I went ahead and grabbed a belt for it from O'Reilly's Auto Parts. This is a like $38 belt, 3-year warranty, and go ahead and change it out real quick. 15mm wrench onto that tensioner right there, and get your belt off. So just come in like this and kind of crank it inward. Aiden, hold that for me, please. Show them, they want to see that pulley and stuff. All right, so you crank it as hard as you can, right? And you get the belt loose, and then you can undo the belt, right? And then take your wrench back off, take your belt off, and get it out of there. Okay, get it away. All right, take a look at the belt, and you can see the belt is actually really good. Nothing wrong with this one at all, but we have the other one, so we might as well replace it. Before we do that, we want to make sure it's the same size belt for sure, because you don't want to end up with the wrong size belt somehow. Okay, yeah, looks like the same size belt to me. And if it's off by a tiny little bit. Alright, so then we're just gonna do the same as the belt diagram shows us here, and just kind of, you know, down under the crank pulley, up over the power steering pump, then up over the alternator, down under the water pump pulley, up over the AC compressor pulley, down over the belt tensioner, up over the, I guess that's just another regular pulley there that doesn't go to anything that I can see. Another pulley there, and then down under the crank. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, show them. Show these people what they want to see. first things first, you gotta get it all down in there. And then we know it goes over the alternator, so we can start there. We know it goes around the power steering pump, so we'll lay that in there. We know it goes under this water pump pulley, so we route it that way. And then we know it comes up over, comes up over the AC compressor. Is showing these people this? And then down and over this one and up over that one. And then of course the belt has got to be all twisty and fun stuff down there at the bottom. And so down over the crank and over this pulley, under that one, okay, all right, so everything is right except for you got to take it off of this tensioner and then put it around the power steering pulley without everything coming unraveled again. Okay, so there we go. We got all that. The only thing we got to do is bring this down and get our belt over it when we do our tensioner. Just ignore it, yeah. Because she must have went over there. Alright, so we get our wrench on. You see it? We get our wrench on. And we just pry it with all our might. Oh, that's hard to get. It's hard to get. Alright, so one thumb. Hard as I can.
Can't get it today.
I can't get it. Ooh, that's hard to get. Okay, make sure I got it routed right. I do. Alright, just gotta be stronger. That's all. Just gotta do it stronger. Man, that really hurt my thumb. Good lordy. Alright, maybe if I take this other wrench and put it on the end of it, build myself some leverage. There we go. Just hope it doesn't slip off and smack me in the face. Man, look at the pulley with the camera.
Yeah.
Alright guys, see how I'm kind of working it on there now? Alright. Show them right here, that angle. Alright guys, so I got the tensioner all the way down and then work the belt on. Let up on the tensioner. I might have got my arm completely down in there. Alright, and then you guys see what I did. I just took, I don't know if the glare will show you, but I just took 2 wrenches and conjoined them together to give myself enough leverage to actually pry that enough. Alright, so new belt's on. Put this little AC line bracket in. And it looks like there's something loose there. Not sure what that's about, but I'm gonna check it real quick while we're here. Yeah, that tensioner is loose for some reason. Killing my back out here. I'm just going to tighten this bolt back up. I don't know why it's loose, but maybe it's stripped. Alright, you don't have to film no more. Alright guys, so got the belt in, got the loose bolt tightened up. This is a good time to check everything over and look for anything loose. You know, you want to make sure all your nuts and bolts are completely seated, and just give it a good overall look over. So alternator is in. So like I said before, we're not sure, you know, this thing charges externally from the, or regulates externally from the computer, right? So even if you're not getting the proper voltage kick out on your alternator, you may think, oh, the alternator is bad, right? Well, it could be your PCM. Well, the way that I made sure that it was just the alternator is I had the auto parts store run the old alternator on the bench tester, and it failed several times. So we know for sure it was a bad alternator, which gives me a pretty good indication that it's not going to be a bad PCM. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll just change this out and we'll be good. So now we'll move on to our battery. Open that up for me, Aiden, please. All right, so one of the ways to fight corrosion on your battery cables and connections is Coca-Cola. Go ahead and pour that right on there, and we'll watch it just kind of clean it up a little bit. You don't got to be scared. It's not a bomb. Just pour it all over there. Yeah, there you go. And it doesn't cost as much as diamonds. No, that one's clean, but you can pour it on there, but it's clean. It ain't gonna do nothing. It only works on corroded stuff. But see how he's getting that all clean. Good stuff. All right. So now we're gonna open up our battery terminals and get those attached. All right, so get all your stuff opened up and get it out. And I'm gonna show you how to properly mount a battery terminal onto your battery cable. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to take this little thing and you want to pre-mount it into there, right?
This one?
Yep. But listen, here is the trick, right? Everybody takes these things and they mount them like this, right? Okay, that is the wrong way to mount that. Okay, if you want to mount it, you mount it like this. So that way it clamps the cable even better and it will never come loose. If you see how they got these two little ridges here? Those two little ridges are so that the cable doesn't slip out, but it will slip out. So what you want to do is flip it over like that. Boom. Because like that, it'll still slip. So you want it like that. So put it like that and then feed the two nuts down in there. Might have to screw it and then wiggle it. There you go. It'll go. Okay. That soft lead sometimes will require you to screw it in, but that's about it there. Bing, bang, boom. Flip it over. You can set it on here if you want, and then that way it'll hold it for you. Yep, set those down in there. Yep, there you go. And then get your nut on the other one. You don't need them tight right now because we got to put the cables on them. Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to take this guy and fit it right in there like so. Boom, bastic. That's a little too tight, so we're going to loosen that a little bit so we got a bigger gap. Just let gravity work for you. Just hold it. Look, hold on. If you hold it like that, it holds the nuts. Just unscrew the stud. Unscrew the stud so it's a little looser. There you go. Perfect. And then we just slide that baby in there like so, right? See how easy that is? And And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate it, because we obviously don't want to mount that upside down. That'd be stupid, right? So boom, we get it. And then we just gonna do a little rotation in there. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should have done it the other way. I'm gonna go in this way and rotate the other way. Okay, that's good like that. All right, what we want to do now is tighten those up before I rotate it so it clamps those cables in good and tight. So we're gonna grab a 10mm and we're gonna come back and tighten her up real good. All right, so I'll go ahead and tighten this down. This is 11mm, so, you know, show the good people how I tighten this down ever so nicely with my fancy ratchet and wrench.
Where's Mason?
Hey, what do you mean, where's Mason? I thought he was with you.
He's in the.
He's at the salon and she was one of my, or he or she's one of my clients.
Oh, hey.
I was like,
Alright, so there you go. Now you have a nice tight battery terminal with clean connections. Alright, and then we got one more bolt that goes through here. What'd you do with that one? Alright, so we got this last bolt here. And you can see there's like a flat ridge on this side. That's where you're going to want to put the square part of this bolt, right? Because you don't have something that'll, well, I guess you do have something that'll fit it, but I guess you could. It's a 13. You could do it either way, I suppose, but I'm just going to put it like that and then tighten it from the other side, because I think that's the right way to do it. So that'll go like that, and then when we get ready to tighten it, it'll be good. So we'll do our second one here. Okay, so we got the second terminal all set up, and we'll go ahead and put that baby on. Wild dog up on the porch here. All right, down there. Kind of rotate her around. Okay guys, so we got the battery terminals on, we got our battery in, right? So what we want to do is spray it with some battery terminal protector, right? This is gonna keep corrosion away, prolong the life of your battery, ensure easier starting, all that good stuff, right? Make sure things don't go bad for you. The other thing you want to do is, if you have any of these green or red pads on here, you want to go ahead and take those off and throw them away, because if you look at this terminal, it's not the same shape all the way up. It kind of comes and tapers up, right? So what you need when you're putting your terminal on is you need your terminal to be down completely like that, and the center of the terminal needs to protrude around the clamp here, right? And that will give you proper charging. When you put these on here, sometimes what it'll do is it'll lift it up to where it's like flush at the top. Okay, if it's flush at the top, it will not charge properly. And not only that, but your body flex as you're driving down the road, and it does like that, it wants to twist it further up and off of the battery, making it loose over time. So these things, while they seem like they're a good preventative of like corrosion and gases, because the gases leak around right here, things like that, but if it starts leaking around here and you start getting corrosion, it's time for a new battery anyway. So this thing right here, I don't really use them, I don't like them, so get rid of them if you're like me. And then put your battery terminal on. You want to get it all the way down tight. And have the middle of the terminal protruding like that when you tighten it up. Okay. Alright guys, so in an effort to get this all the way down, you don't want to hammer on this because it will break the terminal, but you know, just slightly tap it and get it down so that middle part will protrude and it's all the way down. Got my neighbor messing with her dog over there some kind of funky way. So I don't think this is a 13, but it'll get us close enough. Might go get the right size to finish these with. Which I don't have over here. Maybe I got it in the pocket. The neighbor's never loud unless you start recording something on YouTube, and then it's time to get loud, I guess. Alright, size 12. There we go. Alright. She wants to walk up. Tightening it down. Alright guys, so get them nice and tight like that. Don't over tighten it though. If your gap is like that big and you continuously tighten it, what you're gonna do is you're gonna crack the lead because it's a soft metal. So that's about as tight as you want to go with that. Then once you get it,
That one's about too tight.
that one's what?
Too tight?
This one's not. This one's a different.
Oh, it's different size.
Yeah, different size. So it's a little different there. So once you get it on there, take your protector stuff, shake it up, and then just paint it with it. So you're gonna have to do like a mist coat like that and let that tack up for a second. And you want to get it on those cables too, okay? And just let that tack up. Stand over. All right, so now that the first coat's kind of tacked up on there, come in with another coat. You basically want this stuff to be painted red when you're done with it. It's really windy out today, so it's not really doing the best job. We'll let that tack up and we'll check the oil in this thing, and then we'll come back and put a couple more coats on it. But we want it to be completely red when we're done with it, not translucent red like that is right now. So
It smells like cherries.
smells like cherries. Yeah, it does kind of have a smell like cherries. See how in the picture there it's painted red? That's what we want ours to look like when it's done. Maybe I didn't shake up the can enough, who knows. I did have O'Reilly's charge up this battery, and it held a charge, so that's good. So with that holding the charge and the old alternator testing bad, fairly confident that it's just going to be an alternator issue on this particular vehicle today. All right, so it's Aiden's car, so he might as well check the oil. So that one's the oil on the bottom, top one's the transmission. Go ahead and pull that out. If you lay the rag under it as you're pulling it out, when it falls, it'll slide on the rag instead of all over your dirty stuff. You can't tilt it upside down and check it. It's got to be like that. So wipe that one completely clean and then pull it and stick it in. Yep, there you go. Hold the rag under it as you're feeding it in. There you go. Push it all the way in. It can slide on the rag. There you go, all the way down, and then put the rag under it as you're pulling it out. There you go. But you don't want to wipe the end, so you can hold the rag on there as you're pulling it out, and then when you get to the end, hold it, you know, vertically, straight up and down, so it gives you an actual reading. And then what you want to do is you look in here, and your oil has to be up here where these hash marks are, and you can see we're all the way down to here. So we need to add some oil, which I've got some oil somewhere, and we'll add it here. it says we need to check the owner's manual for what type of oil we're gonna put in here. So we'll do that. Check our power steering fluid while we're here. It seems to be topped off. This power steering fluid is very specific to this vehicle. If you put the wrong power steering fluid in, it'll affect how fast the fan runs, and then you may have a cooling issue problem. So the what? The blinker fluid? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. See how tight this thing is on here. Oh goodness. Maybe we just gotta put those things on as tight as possible. Holy moly jolly. I can't get it off. This guy thought he was gonna get it off. So he thought, oh okay. I guess he could get it off. And that's where you add the oil. That is the oil fill. And we take a look at that and we say to ourselves, they're probably not using the best oil in this thing, so maybe we should change the oil out too today. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do that later on. It'll be good for now. Okay, so when it comes to coolant on this particular vehicle, you're gonna have to use the orange stuff, right? So this is 50-50, you don't have to add any water to it. It's pre-diluted antifreeze. Do not add water, okay? Now, if you buy the other stuff that is 100% antifreeze, you're gonna have to dilute it. And you cannot dilute it with your tap water out of the hose like over there. Why? It has iron in it. You don't want to put that in your system. It'll cause rust. Iron causes rust. So you have to use distilled water, which you're probably not going to have. So you might as well just buy the 50-50 stuff. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open this up, and we're going to pour it right in here to the engine coolant only thing. And you definitely only want to do this when the engine is completely cold. You don't want to do it when the engine's hot at all. So you got to pinch this tab in and then rotate it. There you go. It's got a little thing it's got to make it past over there, and then you pluck this with your finger and get that like so, and then here you hold the camera off for it. Alright, so get the cap out of your way. It's windy as hell. I really should use a funnel for this, but I like killing grass too, so whatever. Oh man, I gotta wait for that wind to stop. That's way too windy. Don't want to overfill it. And it says right here that is the full mark. So somewhere around that line. So I'll put a little tiny bit more in before the wind carries it away. That should be good there. Indeed it is. So, all right. Put our cap back on. So now we know we got enough coolant, we got a good battery with good connections, we got a good alternator, we got power steering fluid, we got oil. We're about a half a quart to a quart low on oil, and we don't know about the training fluid. We'll start it up and we'll check that. So Aiden, if you would, go ahead and start the vehicle up, and I will check our transmission fluid and see what we have. All right guys, well, we got her all back together. She's up and running, and I'll go ahead and air up the tires. These tires, they go to 33 PSI. You can find it in the door jamb here on the sticker. 33 PSI right there. So we're using this little Milwaukee air pump and pumping them all up. They are dry rotted a little bit. Well, so we're gonna get some new tires, but not bad, huh? So we paid $2 grand for this thing, and I think it is a pretty good deal. Show you guys real quick. Front seat's got a little ripping and tearing on the bottom there, but that can get repaired. Big comfy couch seats they got in here. Panoramic sunroof, that's standard on the Overland. It's got 168,000 miles on it. Cold air, tinted windows. Got all my tools in here. I didn't even remember I left them in there. Wow, guys. Well, that's the end of our video. A very long video, I will say. But I wanted to go through that very thoroughly so that way you got a good understanding of how to properly change your alternator and install it, and the things that need to be done to the battery and the connections and whatnot in order to get that done. And as I said again, I did test the alternator at O'Reilly's and it failed, so I know I had a good idea it was not going to be my PCM afterwards. And you know, so put the alternator in, and I've been driving the vehicle for about a week now, and not having any issues whatsoever. So I know for a fact it is just the alternator. I hope for your sake that it's just your alternator and not the PCM. These things get kind of pricey and hard to get. You know, they are on eBay, but I think they were like $300 or $400. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop me a comment at the bottom. Tell me about your Jeep, how much you paid for it, and, you know, all that good stuff. So catch you guys on the next one. Bye.